God of War is not accurate to the mythology. A lot of people will treat it like it is, but it's really not. And this requires you to not understand mythology. In mythology, Hydra is the sibling of Cerberus. And since Cerberus in God of War is not a character, it is instead a whole species, that plot point no longer makes sense. And besides, it's never mentioned that Hydra in God of War is a sibling of anyone. It's just a random monster. It's not really established to have relation with anything else, like it was in the mythology. And then there's Charon and Thanatos. They're never suggested to be related in the confines of the God of War verse, but they really are brothers in the mythology. And there's also other examples, like how Loki in mythology didn't have a Greek god for a parent. He instead had a giant, and Loki was his actual name. He didn't have an alias called Atreus. He didn't have like another name that he went by. He was just Loki. He was never known by Atreus. He wasn't named after a dead Spartan. And Loki had like 5 kids in mythology. In God of War, he doesn't have any kids. Ingebalder is white in mythology. She's black in God of War. In God of War, Jourmungandr never met Fenrir. He doesn't know it exists. And all Jourmungandr is in God of War is a random giant whose soul was put into a dead snake body. That is what Jourmungandr is in God of War. He has no relation to Atreus / Loki, besides purely just having been kind of pseudo-created by him. And it wasn't even created, he just put the soul of the soul of the giant into the animal's dead body. And in God of War, Fenrir is the pet of Loki. And in mythology, that's his son, right? It is not a pet and master relationship, it is a father-son relationship. So a lot different. And Garm and Fenrir are 2 different characters. Loki never fights Garm and shoves the soul of Fenrir into Garm and makes Garm turn into Fenrir. That never happens in mythology. That only happens in God of War. And there is a lot of other things that only happen in God of War. In God of War, Kratos is the son of Zeus. That isn't the case in the mythology. And, we can go on and on with this. The general point I'm making with this small little video is to show that it isn't necessarily consistent to act like God of War scales to the myths or is accurate to that version thereof. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but Marvel is a lot more accurate to the mythology than God of War is. In Marvel Comics, the 616 universe, not the MCU, Loki has all of his kids the same as in the myths. I don't think Narvi is a thing, or Narfi. I don't think they're a thing. But, Jormungandr, Fenrir, Hela, they're all his kids in the comics. And that's consistent with what is in mythology, so it's clearly more accurate than God of War. And in Record of Ragnarok, I don't think they're related either. I don't think Jormungandr is really Loki's son in that. In Record of Ragnarok. And the relationship is really weird too, because in that version, Record of Ragnarok, Loki's uncle is Zeus. Loki's uncle is Zeus. His biological uncle is Zeus. No, not Zeus. His biological uncle's Odin. And that was never the case in mythology, nor was it the case in any other story. So, Record of Ragnarok really made it up that Loki's uncle is Odin. I think a point to this would be that every single different incarnation or version of, a story isn't necessarily accurate to its source material. It's like how in Helltaker, there was a character called Lucifer. And Lucifer in Helltaker is like some sexy anime girl. But in, the Bible, that clearly isn't the case. That, I don't remember there being a Bible story where Lucifer is a animager. I don't remember that. I don't think that ever happened. But that is the case in Helltaker. And it's like in Hell of a Boss / Husband Hotel. Lucifer in that is a depressed father of Charlie, and he hooked up with Lilith and had a daughter, which obviously never happened in the Bible / Abrahamic mythology, but it happened in Hazbin Hotel. I think the point of this is to say adaptations of stories aren't always accurate to their source material.